what's the procedure in the future now?
Well, what the next step would be is that we'll get a contract that the attorney will have complete, and then we'll get Camp Gordon Johnson to sign it and bring it back to the commission, right?
I see an expectant look.
Well-
The expectation is, yes, the contract is being drafted, it's about 80% complete. I'm presently scheduled to meet with Representative Camp Gordon Johnson Thursday and try to hammer out a final draft. But right now, there are no problems, everything's moving along smoothly.
Yes, sir.
Are we confident that the construction project can be completed for this $250,000 grant, plus the funds that
That's
they
not a
have?
lawyer question.
I was hoping you would know. Yeah, that was one of the reasons that we wanted the funds for the TDC to, the county was going to be put to the project to go to the building. With the funds that we're going to provide for the project and what Camp Gordon Johnson has in the bank, we feel very confident that the building can be constructed with the bank.
Commissioner Watson, I can't speak exactly whether it will be over or under budget, but in the contract that I'm preparing, Exhibit A to the contract is their proposed budget plan of construction, so that we'll know going in that they've got the budget set, and also we'll know from their bank records that they have the cash on hand to pay for the soft costs of construction while we're only paying for the bricks and the mortar.
And they'll have a contract?
Yes, sir, I'm working on that. It is basically a grant agreement between the county and Camp Gordon Johnston.
I'm very supportive of the museum, but I want to make sure that our commitment is finite.
Yes, sir, I'm building that language into the contract documents, but, construction being what it is, if there are delays or cost overruns, that's something I can't really address in the contract, but to the extent we can in the ordinary course of business, set a budget, fix the amount of the cost, we're definitely doing that.
And I have to say, that's what dominated the conversation at TDC, was to make sure that we provide the money for the bricks and mortar, and they provide the stock, cost.
But it's a fabulous museum, and it's a real resource.
Yeah, so-
But this is an unusual thing that the TDC is about to do, I think, as far as, it's not like the Army did,
Done a lot of-
restoration.
What happens if the legislature appropriates money that you requested?
Well, that was something that we looked at, we were very concerned about, because we didn't want the whole, the portion of the project that we were going to be supporting dependent on the outcome of the legislature, because they haven't had very much success in getting that. And so that's why we identified the primary building, the museum building, as, and it's one of these metal, a metal building. We feel very confident that they can get it done.
So they'll be accessory development.
And that'll be additional, yes, they'll use it for site prep and civil.
In fact, I think the initial of it was like $1 million, they cut it back to $350 or something like that.
Right. Yes, sir.
Real quick, Mr.
Yes,
Chairman.
sir.
I'm fine with, I read all the documents last night that you were prepared, and basically, the best part I like is where you have, the county has the right of first refusal, because we are putting in a substantial amount of county funds, and I know that we got certain laws and all we got to comply with, but I do like that aspect of that being in the contract.
Yes, sir. And technically, we're not getting a right of first refusal or an option. I am actually going to structure this as basically a reverter provision. I've spoken to Camp Gordon Johnson about that. There's a technical difference between a right of first refusal or first option and a reverter. The reverter would not require us to take any further action. We would not have to pay any money. We would not have to match any future obligations. From, say, if they had someone else who was wanting to buy the property, the first option means we would have to match, meet, or exceed that offer, depending on what the terms of the first option might be. With the reverter, we do not have that obligation. I've spoken with Camp Gordon Johnson representatives about that, and they are okay with that in concept. I've not walked them through the details of how we're going to achieve the reverter, but that's part of the discussion we're going to have on Thursday. And also, just to clarify for the record, in the event there should be a reversion of the physical building and property back to the county, I have discussed with Camp Gordon Johnson, although you've not made this decision, they have discussed with me a desire that the contents of the building would not go to the county. And I have discussed with them that I don't think the county has an interest in operating the museum, that they would then take the contents of that museum and deliver it to some other organization providing museum services that are similar to their own. But we're simply talking about a reversion of the real estate and the building, and not using it in contents.
And I have to say, Michael, wait just a minute.
Yes, ma'am.
I like the reverter clause in there because you're looking at the highway patrol office. That's what was done on that. So when it ceased to be a highway patrol station, then it reverted back to the county. That's how we get some properties, what we've got. So I like that.
Bay City Work Campus Work.
Basically what.
And I think the location is great, I mean, right on 98 and everything.
Well, I
It's gonna get
have-
some traffic.
Well, and I have to say, it was a past county attorney that had wisdom enough to do that.
Might be a shoe.
It's his birthday today too, thank you.
You knew that.
I knew it. I knew it.
Okay, the next item, Commissioners, we've talked with you before about a memorial to the maritime industry, and we've been working on this for several months. What we have presented to you today is a kind of an outline of both what the TDC envisions for this project and a sample schedule. I mean, it's not a real schedule, it's you know, assuming we do this, then this happens, to give you an idea of what we're looking for in this. But generally speaking, what we want to make sure of is that this memorial is done with great sensitivity to the families in Franklin County that have been impacted on by you know, a relative dying on the waters and engaged in business and local residents that have passed that way. And we want to be very sensitive about it. We want to make sure that the process that we use to complete it takes into consideration the input from the most important people in the process, and that's the families. And so we've tried to design a process that will speak to those issues. We want to make sure what we're planning, assuming that we get consensus on this outline, is that we'll do an RFP that we'll bring back to you before before we let it. We want to have a series of proponents that think that they have a concept that they want to forward. We'll open up a period for them to submit those. There are certain things that they'll have to have included in that, including a rendering, a design concept. They'll have to be able to build, not only design, but build, have the capability of building the memorial, and that there's a timetable, that they have a timetable for construction, and we'll make payment when the memorial is finished and everybody's signed off on it. We're very concerned that the entity, the group, or the individual, or the company that gets the agreement to design and build has the capability to carry it forward. And then we've defined a rather lengthy process. It'll take most of this remaining fiscal year to get through conceptually once the RFP goes out and we get proposals. We had talked to some residents that thought it would be best that we would have multiple images to review and comment on. So we have built in not only review by the TDC, but several workshops throughout the county the TDC would select the top 3, and we have workshops in the county for the residents to have a chance to view the renderings and provide their input on it, modify it if necessary, and then ultimately this design selection would come back to the TDC and ultimately to you about what design we think is appropriate. So we've given you that sort of outline. I wanted to back up a little bit and take it a little slower. As I say, we've reached out to some residents in the county, and we're soliciting their input as we go along the process. And we just kind of wanted to fill you in on where we were with that and be sensitive to any concerns or comments that you may have on the question.
Yes, sir.
Do you have a budget for the memorial?
At the moment, we've got in our budget about $10,000. We have some assistance from Visit Florida that'll get it done this year, but we'll put it in for next year if we don't. So that's kind of the general framework we have. Obviously, and as I say, this is going to take most of this year to get, go through the process to select the right design. So we'll have a chance in that, next year if we find that it's a little bit off.
Follow up. I'm very supportive of the project. A few years ago, I was in Worcester, Massachusetts, where they did the perfect storm from that seafood industry area. And it was a very powerful memorial. And I think we can have the same thing.
Comment?
Yes, sir.
Real quick, Kurt, I know you have it in our informational item for public awareness. The memorial will be located where?
At the East Point site, we've got a section of the site that is set apart from, the building, and it makes it a little more sensitive. It's not, cars aren't driving through it or whatever. That would be the site that we're proposing.
It was chosen before I got on board. Yeah, it was chosen before I
Before you.
Yeah, before I got on board.
Okay.
Yeah, on the
Okay.
TDC.
I just wanted that information out for the public, so,
Yeah.
I know we have it here, but the public doesn't know exactly where it's going to be constructed, so that's the only question I had.
Yeah, the site for the memorial was chosen before I got on board. That's what I was letting them know. So,
Where exactly, because you have quite a bit of land.
As you approach the property, there's a one-way, view in the driveway. To the right of the entrance, the one-way arrow goes to the entrance. There's a piece of property that goes to the highway, and pretty much is separated from the rest of the site by natural trees and a little drainage area that seem to be very peaceful, very serene. We have parking right near it. We have the opportunity for easy access. It's close to the water, which we thought was important that that be part of the tenor of the site, and it seemed to be the best location. It was large enough that it would accommodate the any memorial design that we have. And as I said, one of the things that is important in this outline is that this would not only be a generic memorial to the maritime industry, but it would also include the opportunity to have identified the individuals that through research we found that have lost their lives in the war.
Do you need any action?
I wanted to bring that to your attention. We're going to be talking about a lot in the next 6 months, so I wanted to be sure that I was sensitive to any concerns you might have about it. And as I say, I'll be bringing to you in the near future an RFP that we'll put out for people to submit proposals.
Okay. I like the part where you do have the ability to update as, or be it additional victims, of losing their life at sea or able to be added to that memorial. So that's a good plan there.
I think one of the most important comments and guidance that we've received, I think Commissioner Sanders commented on this at one point in one of our meetings, is that this could well be the only memorial that some of the residents in Franklin County would have to their loved one. And we wanted to make sure that that was going to be able to play that role. That it's a general recognition that we're a seaside community and a lot of our lives and industry live and die around the sea, but it's also, for many of the residents, a very personal thing. And we wanted to make sure that it served that purpose.
Yeah, we have quite a few of them that's lost their life at sea.
Okay. The next item, Commissioners, we mentioned, I talked to you a little while back about the fact that we're in the process of redoing the TDC website and visitors guide. And I'll mention to you that we, last time we revised, okay. Great for technical assistance. The last time we talked about this, I mentioned to you that we put out these requests for photographers and videographers to submit their work and to help us build our library of photos and videos for the website. This is something we did a couple of years ago and it was very successful. We got a group of photographers that were very talented, and it's good to have multiple images for the website. This year we've added to that, and we've added the videos, because videos now are the state of the art when it comes to websites anymore. And so we're getting some proposals from different videographers that are able to do, the kinds of things that we're looking for. Scenes of the county and scenes of events and that sort of thing. Last time we revised the website was 2012, I believe. We did it with BP money, and it was a pretty extensive revision. And we also did the Visitor's Guide then. Visitors Guides have a way of having a shelf life of about a year or 18 months. They're, because businesses change and people go out of business or new businesses are added, and so the way we know we need a written document, a printed document. We got about half as many the last time as we did the first time, just because we've been focusing more and more attention on the website. And we've got the whole Visitor's Guide on the website. In any event, it takes a good deal of time and energy to get this done. We've got all our vendors working on it, and I don't expect it'll be done much before the end of this fiscal year. One of the things that we had to get assistance for the last time was somebody to help us collect the information that businesses have, new businesses. New business, you got to be in it, and we had to have that information that includes not only that they're open and where they are, but their graphics, their publicity. So we adequately cover them in the Visitor's Guide. And then go back and review all of the listings that are now in the guide. There are hundreds. Make sure that everybody's doing what they were doing the last time we published it. If there were any changes, some have gone out of business, some are new, that sort of thing. And last time we had, and then some editing. So last time when Fran was working for the TDC, she did a lot of this beyond her daily work thing, and she collected a lot of the information. I don't have that capability this time. Our staff are not. We're now running the visitor center. We're doing a variety of other things. So I wanted to run by you. I'd like to find somebody that can do this work. I think we can get it at a lot less expensive than it was before. I'm not planning on paying what Fran was getting. I think we can get somebody in the range of $15 to $17 an hour, which is, gives us somebody that has writing capability and editing capability, and can go and collect the information we need. And I just wanted to run that by you and see, make sure that was all right with you all. Our board has approved it. It's in the budget. Our budget this year for the modifications to the website.
You don't need
You need a motion to second on that?
It's your pleasure.
Yep. That what he's on?
Sanders, that's something that's in budget.
Yes. Okay, if he's asking to be able to hire someone and pay them outside of their ordinary course, and that wouldn't need to.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Second. Have a motion second on the floor. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries.
The next item, I'm sorry it takes so long, we missed our report last month, so next item I wanted, you've seen correspondence between Attorney Schuler and myself, I'm sure had some information on this bill that was introduced or floated in the legislature, if you will, by Representative Matt Gates, who's from Walton County. And it did some dramatic changes to the Tourist Development Council. Skimmed off about 20% of the revenues to go to Visit Florida. It changed the appointment process. There was just a variety of things in it that were pretty surprising. And so we went through the process thanks to Michael, who helped find this thing that started floating around. We started reviewing it. Since then, Representative Gates has announced that he is not going to include the most controversial issues in the bill that skimmed off 20–25% of the revenues to go to Visit Florida and change the appointment process. He did indicate, however, that he was planning on having a bill introduced that would include what he referred to as giving tourist development councils more latitude with how they spend money. This will in part go to the issue of whether you get to use law enforcement monies from tourist tax to offset the cost of tourism in the community. That's about all we know about it. All I'm going to suggest to you is that any time a bill is introduced, as I'm sure Commissioner Watson can attest, in the legislature, anything can happen, and so we'll keep an eye on it. We'll keep you appraised of that. We have two other things. We were able to put together a project this year that focused on holidays on the coast, and that allows us to wrap in together a lot of the events that are going on in all the communities, Carabel, St. George Island, and Apalachicola, and so that's running now, and we're happy with the way that looks. And we realized that we had a lot of events going on. What we needed to do is to take advantage of that. So we've put together an advertising program that focuses on coming to the coast for the holidays. You can come for the light-up parade, you can come for shopping and a variety of things. And finally, we're doing a series of PSAs, public service announcements, that I'll be talking with you more as we get that flushed out on the seafood industry. We thought that it was appropriate to respond in part to the changes in the seafood industry and provide the public and the people that visit here a little bit more education on what's happening in our seafood industry. And finally, you have the list of dates for our meetings for 2016. That's it. I'll be glad to
I have
answer
a question. I don't know if this is appropriate for Kurt or for Michael. In the budget this year, there are funds for rehabbing the bathrooms at St. George Island, and I think there was some Carabel. Whatever the process is, I'd like to get that moving along, so we can figure out what we can do and when we can do it.
Anybody else have anything from Mr. Kurt?
You all have a great holiday.
You have a Merry
Enjoy
Christmas.
yourself. We'll see you after the first of the year.
And on my report, Commissioners, item 6, where Kurt just touched on West Syndicate Gates, I have that he backed off some proposal that would have diverted around $3.6 million in the local bed tax to the state each year. Before he had his change of heart, Bay County had sent a request and a copy of a resolution that they had, and they wanted the board to either support it or do something similar. Like, I say that, bring that item up just to say, if by chance the proposal changes in some way again, I'll make sure you guys can do some sort of resolution that addresses, whatever we're opposed to.
Well, I think we need to go ahead, because it's in the pipe somewhere.
Okay.
And I think we need to go ahead and ask our attorney, Sheila, to go ahead and be making a resolution on our behalf.
Real quickly.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Kurt, do you know on this proposed bill where we can use some of the TDC money for first responders, law enforcement, is that going to be mandatory, or is that just going to allow the TDC the ability? Is that going to be mandatory in this bill, or is it just going to allow you the ability? Such a chili cook-off, if you wanted to help Mike with some of his, and that big fundraising, that big tourist event there, that you could help Mike, the sheriff, with some of that cost, or is it being mandated?
Discretionary,
No,
Commissioner.
well, I believe it's going to be
Discretionary.
discretionary.
It's discretionary up to 10% of your TDC revenues. And in addition, it requires that for every dollar that you may give to law enforcement out of that discretionary 10%, that for each dollar, you would then give 50 cents to Visit Florida.
So
So you get a carrot and you get a stick.
Well, yeah, and I don't mind the discretion to do that, but when it's been mandated,
Not Visit Florida,
Well,
DO.
DEO.
Visit Florida.
Let's go into Visit
I don't mind
Florida.
having discretion.
but the statute refers to DEO.
Yeah.
Statewide, you're talking potentially up to $80 million in TDC funds being shifted from the counties that have enacted TDC taxes.
I don't mind the
to
discretionary part, but the mandated part, that's what I don't like.
Yeah.
That's what I.
I don't know if you'll remember, Reverend Gates represents Okaloosa County, and there was a huge controversy a few years ago because their TDC director embezzled millions of dollars. Had a big,
We remember.
yeah, a big boat, and a big condo and stuff.
That's why we kept on reminding Kurt, you spend the money.
And the reason I brought that up is you're looking at doing a resolution for this board to sign off on, or we're gonna piggyback what Bay County has, because I want.
I want one specifically.
Right, and I want to include that discretionary doesn't bother us, but the mandatory of shifting of funds, giving the TDC or the board the latitude to do something is one thing, but mandating that, giving you discretion, and on the other hand, mandating that we send so much to Tallahassee, now that, I don't like that.
If you exercise, under what was submitted, I've not seen what the amendments to that submittal are, but under the original submittal, it was discretionary up to 10% of your gross TDC revenues from the first 2 cents of your TDC tax. And for every dollar that you spent of that discretionary money, 50 cents of each dollar you had, you were mandated to send to DEA.
That's the part I don't like.
Yes.
So if you could somehow incorporate that, if it's an agreement with the board.
If I can
incorporate
make a
that.
comment too, the bill has been withdrawn, so another bill will be filed.
Yes.
And so we need to see what's in that next
He's
bill.
pushing hard as he can.
And this is what do you believe that you can get a copy of the amended bill and between what Bay County has done and the amended bill, be able to craft a resolution that supports how we feel about it, how this board and the people of Franklin County feel about it?
Yes, ma'am. Under the original bill, I don't know if it was ever submitted as an actual bill, or was it just floated out for comment?
Comment.
I think it was floated out for comment, but we,
Floated out.
Mr. Blair and myself have already drafted a draft resolution for the board's consideration, but we will need to see what the amendments are so we can amend the resolution.
We'll be on it.
Well, and I believe what you need to do is do like.
'Cause I wasn't aware it was a bill,
Like
that's
we
kind of
do
scary. Wow.
everything.
Draft language.
Yeah, everything else, and that is to send it out to our association and ask all the counties to support it. You know, they may be.
We'll have a lot of allies on this.
I don't know why he's wanting to penalize everybody for what they done.
Well, and you know what it reminds me back to though? It reminds me back to what the argument with the revenue sharing and how that all happened about and all, so the state revenue sharing. So
You know,
anyway, I'll make that motion.
Second, but if I might, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
When you have discretion and you still have home rule, when you start doing mandated stuff, then you're taking away our ability as a board, as a county to function in the way that we see we need to be functioning. So I see that as also as an attack on our home rule, our ability to.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just like the anti-fracking resolution the board adopted a couple of meetings ago, the state is talking about enacting a law to preempt that bill, which again is taking away home rule power.
Exactly.
But
You
the
have to
board
fill out.
decide whether you want to or not, but Tallahassee wants to tell you whether you can.
Exactly.
All right, I have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carried. We're gonna take a 5-minute recess. We'll come back to you, Mr. Anderson.